Okay. Oh, they have a what's called 90-degree rule right now. So you can take the carts, drive up the path, go straight across to where your ball is. We kind of just go wherever. But in general, members at a private club take pretty good care of the. It's fine. Take pretty good care of the course because we're paying a lot of money for a private course. So it's. I don't think you have a major problem with them like driving up on the greens and stuff, but we're not overly accurate with our angles with that 90-degree angle rule. Right. Exactly. You know, as you might imagine, being such a big guy can drink a lot of water. You got to stay hydrated. Oh, I hate all of you. Started recording. That's recorded. Talk to the provost. Litman said he hated us. Yeah, sounds about right. All right, so let's see. Homework assignment was to like do winner jumping up and down, flippy dealy thingamajiggies. All right. We'll make the loser. All right, so make the loser rotate on his back, make the winner jump up and down, play victory music. All right, so I have some of this already put in here, and then we're going to talk about some of the challenges with the other thing. All right. So there's several different ways you could probably accomplish this. I know somebody on Slack was talking about animation and stuff. And I mean, if you wanted to go and learn about that, that's fine. You can go and do that, but it wasn't needed for this. We'll talk about that. Let's see what I have the guy doing right now. So we'll go to this room. They're going to go back and forth. Oh, that guy's getting hit with haymakers. Boom. Boom. All right. So the other guy's jumping up and down. We'll look at how he's doing that. Now, but our other guy is not rotating yet. We're going to talk about what the challenge is with that. So let's look. Last time we had written the thing where they fought until somebody died, right? Okay, so we did that. That was our starting point for this assignment. Well, let's go into our deathmatch code. Let's see. This guy. So we asked the question, if the current target is dead, then what happens when the fight is over? Make the dead guy fall over. All right. So we're gonna deal with that here in a second because we're gonna talk about this line. Okay. Now, make the winner jump up and down. So what we did, if you remember, in order to call coroutines, we had to give deathmatch access to our instance of our referee mono behavior. Okay. So we got the instance of that, told that guy to start a coroutine named jump coroutine. And that dude is up here. So here's my jump coroutine. So for 60 seconds, and I just could, randomly mess with speed. So I picked a speed of 5. We got our initial start time, asking time for kind of a timestamp. What time is it right this second? We had our start position, which is the start position of the current attacker's game object. Because if I called this, he's the one who won, right? Because I'm checking to see if somebody died after each strike. So if somebody just died, it's because the dude who's currently attacking hit him. Okay. So our current attacker's game object, we're getting his position as our start position. All right. And then what we're going to do is while whatever the current time is, minus the time we got from the very beginning. So minus our initial start time. As long as that's less than our duration, we're going to keep doing some stuff. Okay. All right. Now, you could do this a whole bunch of different ways. We did this in a mathy way, that we don't have to understand the math. You can look it up and get the thing. You could have also just put a force underneath him to, shove him up into the air a couple times, and he'll just sort of bounce with gravity, whatever. All right. But effectively, what am I doing? I'm updating my y coordinate. Okay. So that's the up. Okay. So my new y is going to be whatever the start position is, plus a mathy thing based on time, because I want to get it, I want him to raise up over a period of time. Okay. Times the speed times 0.5 to get it to kind of be the right the right level. Now the sine trig function is an up and down thing, so that allows me to hit the peak and the valleys of it for which direction am I currently going. All right. Just a way of doing it where you can leverage some mathy stuff to pull something off. Otherwise, you could have, what I probably expected you to do is apply a force to the rigid body, kind of basically uppercut him, and he pops into the air and then drops back down. You punch him again, he pops up in the air, drops back down. So under the hood, the math is happening for you, right? You're hitting them hard enough to throw them up in the air, and you're letting gravity make them fall back down, and so on and so forth. Okay. So this is just an alternative if you want to leverage some math skills, if you like doing that kind of stuff. But effectively, we calculated a new y. All right. And what I'm actually doing is I'm just changing his position. I'm not doing this with forces. So I'm setting the current attacker's position, his transform position, equal to a new vector 3, which has all of the, has the x and the z the same as they currently are, but just changes that y. So the y goes tick, 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 tick. And then since it's based on the sine function, eventually it starts coming back down as it's ramping down to a valley. Like that. It's not a force-based thing, it's a position-based thing. So as this guy is going, and a while loop, we've talked last time, is going to happen really, 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 really fast, right? So many, 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 many times per second, I'm going to be adjusting that y coordinate, probably actually too often. Because I'm sure that between runs of this while loop, the distance, the change in y is probably borderline imperceptible, which is why it seems fairly smooth when you watch it go. All right. But effectively, that's what's happening here. All right. So I'm going to do that over and over and over and over again. I yield here to let the that frame finish. So that gives me a little bit of a breather inside of the while loop, so it doesn't just go, it'll kind of it'll put a lot of extra burden on the game engine if you just let it keep running through that while loop, and it's happening faster than the frames can allow it to happen. And then you won't actually see, you'll see like kind of gear jumps as the frame pops back up. But in any case, I just throw this coroutine up on a 60-second thing. This while loop keeps running as long as I haven't completed the 60 seconds, and he pops up and down based on the sine function. Okay. And that gives us a look like this. Let them kill each other again. Ooh. All right. So you see him jumping up and down. He's sinking into the ground a little bit there. So maybe I should move my my floor up just a skosh. Because if you remember correctly, the way I'm doing this is I have my cave is just this visual thing, and what I actually have is the real floor beneath it, and I just turn the mesh renderer off for it, so you just don't see it. So since he's sinking into the ground a little bit, maybe I shoved that guy up a little bit so he doesn't pass the through the geometry. But whatever, it's not hurting anybody. Okay, now questions about that as a possible solution. I'm guessing most of you probably just did the same thing with driving our guy around, where you applied a force just along the Y to slam them up in the air. That's what I expected. That's why I just, here's an alternative alternative thing. All right. So now let's go and look at the rotation, and we're going to see something interesting here. Let me go back down to here. All right. So playing the victory music, we'll deal with this third. That's not going to be a major, well, I haven't thought about it, but I can't imagine it's going to be a major ordeal. So let's look at this first thing. The part that seemed like maybe it would be the easiest actually has some sort of challenge with it. So when I want the dead guy to fall over, what do I try to do? Well, I try to take the target game object. This is the guy who just got hit, right? Because presumably if he's dead, if somebody died in this last round, it was not the attacker. It was the attackee, right? The target of the attacker. So he's dead, presumably. So I'm going to tell that game object to transform and rotate 180 degrees. Now, remember, that game object here, we go into our second scene here. Let's see, where's my referee? So the game objects are our player game object or our monster game object. Okay, remember those guys were just 3D objects, right? I think the player is a sphere and the monster was a cube, and we turned them off, right? Visually, we turned the mesh renderer off for those. So if we go into our player, for example, remember we added a oh, I got the wrong dude there, don't I? This guy. We go into our chomper and our spitter. Remember, I put this script on these guys last time called follow, where their entire job in the world is to follow the follow the invisible thing. We have them you know, kind of following for puppy dog, because what's actually happening here is we are moving the cube, right? The cube moves in and out. The sphere moves in and out. As we're driving around our game, the sphere moves around. We just made it invisible and taught our two little monster guys to follow the respective 3D object. So maybe we say, so what ultimately is happening here, when I tell it to rotate, I'm rotating, let's just assume that we're dealing with the monster. I'm rotating that cube, right? And when I rotate the cube upside down, so I rotate it 180 degrees, I don't remember which guy it is, Chomper or the other dude. Let's just assume it's Chomper. Chomper, he's running this follow script. But if we look at that follow script, the follow script follows his position, not his rotation. Make sense? Well, it just, follow still works. It just doesn't rotate with them, right? So if I flip the cube over, the cube hasn't actually changed his position. He's changed his rotation. Okay, remember, transforms have scale, position, and rotation. All I'm looking at is position here. That's what follow does. So now I could say, well, let's just go ahead and make him follow the rotation as well. Makes some reasonable sense, you'd think, right? So we'll say this dot transform dot rotation is equal to this dot game object to follow dot transform dot rotation. So now the follow script will say, hey, we're going to do both those things, right? However you move, we'll follow. However you rotate, we'll do that too, right? Monkey see, monkey do. All right, so we immediately get a problem. And this has to do with our player. So we go back to our dungeon and we remind ourselves that our player is actually a sphere, which is effectively a bowling ball.
I found this on the web.
Thank you. You're so helpful almost all the time. Okay. So our sphere is effectively a rolling bowling ball. So when we shove it, he's rolling. We're telling our monster here, who is Chomper. Chomper's our player. We're telling Chomper, follow that bowling ball. Not just his position, but his rotation. So, okay. Chomper's got some issues.
Oh.
Yeah, I rotate him in the beginning. But we saw in the original scene that he was flipping end over end. It's a rough way to live life. Is what is what it comes down to.
Yeah. Gosh.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Well, he did flip upside down. So sort of kind of mission accomplished. Right? Oh, it looked a lot weird. Okay. Okay. That guy's only going to chill through that dungeon for so long before he gets extremely dizzy. All right. So now we have to say, okay, well, we kind of sort of have this doing what we wanted to do, but how do we actually get our guy to do the right thing? Not roll head over heels or whatever in the dungeon crawling part of this, but still flip over on the other side. Make sense? So our follow script is sort of kind of doing what we wanted to do, but it's not doing it at only the time we wanted to do it. We got some decisions to make. We can say, well, maybe we have our follow script check in as to whether or not I should follow the rotation or not, for example. Make sense? So what I could do is upon somebody's death, I could set a flag in maybe master data that says follow rotation. And inside of my follow script, I just ask master data, am I supposed to follow rotation? If yes, then I'll follow rotation. Otherwise, I won't. This is what it'll come down to. So we could do that. So let's look at that as a possible solution. So here's master data. We'll just put a public static bool should follow rotation and start that guy off at false. Inside of follow, I'll wrap this guy in if master data dot should follow rotation. That's enough, but if you really prefer to see the redundant Boolean statement, you could say if it's equal to true. Then we'll have it follow that rotation. Now it's false the rest of the time, right? So if I run it now, we're going to see that when he moves, he's not flipping head over heels. So he's all cool there. But we'll also see that he won't actually flip over here because we never actually changed the rule up there. So we'll go back into deathmatch. And right here, before we tell our game object to rotate, we'll go ahead and say master data dot should follow rotation is equal to true. Which our follow script is checking. So we'll have these guys fight. Oh, so they get one-shotted? All right, it's a good idea. Give me a moment. We're just gonna go into inhabitant here. And when we roll their armor class, we're just gonna subtract 10 from that guy. And when we roll their damage, we'll just add the 5 to that guy. They'll hit a little harder, they'll be a little squishier, right? We're gonna say, change this. Sure, we'll forget and we'll wonder why our guys are dying so quickly. So now we made them easier to hit. And we made the guy swing and hit harder. All right. Not quite 100, but it might still close to one-shot him. All right. So now our guys flipping up and down, but we saw them, they actually rotated away from the position that we wanted them to rotate, right? All right. Well, because we changed their rotation, we told our follow to follow their rotation. They're both facing a certain way when we first come in here. We probably don't want that rotation to change. So we're going to go into our fight scene. And I think that we can take our player. And we're going to rotate. He was this way, so I want to rotate him this way, right? So -90. And we'll take our monster. And he's going to rotate this way, which should be 90. All right. So we'll go back into our dungeon. Oh, my movement now is based on that rotation. Give me a moment. Hey, look, he was still throwing haymakers. They were hitting. It was all right. So we need to go into our deathmatch logic for the bounce in and out. That's the move object routine. So when we tell it to original position, we actually wanted to go up or forward? Forward. We're just shoving them a little differently than we were shoving them before. Oh. All right, we're so close. All right. So that has to do with our flip-flop, that -1. I think I was doing something in here, right? It's my move distance. They are both going forward. They're both going this way. I have that negative. Where's my -1 deal?
It should be up at the.
Program like it was a specific.
This guy. So if this guy is facing this way, we can actually just rotate it. So I think, yeah. So let me dump that, which should then create a, let me dump it up here too. Oh, it wasn't the -1. It was the 2.5. No, that's not it. I still want that. I'm just not going to flip it to -1.
I think that's all.
Yeah. And then what we want to do is we just want our, what is it, our monster? Oh, I need to go to the other room. We want our monster here to rotate. Is it 270? Actually, I could have just done -90. Because he was moving back this way, right, at 90. So now if I just flip him the other direction, now forward is this way. And the other dude was already rotated the correct way. So I'm just spinning around my underlying objects here.
See, yeah. It was working. All you had to do is get rid of the negative.
So I didn't have to change his rotation.
No. Because the -1 was reversing.
Oh. So this should just do it.
Yeah. Wait, did you just change the rotation of the left one? I did the right one.
I don't think so. Took the -1 out. No, let's took it out here. Was it saved? Thought it was saved. And then in our fight scene, so there's monster, he's at 90. There's player, he's at -90.
You turn them both around.
Well, but this guy's already moving correctly.
He was.
He was. I thought the player was moving correctly, wasn't he? Oh, no, they're both moving the wrong way.
Yeah.
That's way easier to fix. All right, so this guy will become a 90. This guy will become the -90. Well, I just made it.
Oh,
We already saw the direction they were going. Did I? Oh, that's bad. That's bad news. I went monster to -90.
whenever they copy the rotation.
Well, it doesn't matter because they're relative to the guy. They're just rotating with him.
Yeah.
Oh, he went down that way. So we need to make our monsters start off with the same rotation.
No.
Well, that's gonna be messed up
All you
too.
gotta do is Just set the movement to
Well, that's only gonna help on the move back and forth. They were moving back and forth correctly. So inside here,
change the rotation back to what you just had it.
oh, because then he'll go up in the air. Oh, so then I could just set this as this here to begin with. And then come back in here. And go monster is the 90. And player is the -90. Yeah, I'm not confident in this.
I'll stop.
Well, no, I mean, what's funny is this isn't even programming related, right? This is just like, okay, I need the things to rotate the right way.
You need to move it up more, flipping underneath the. I think it's flipping underneath the floor.
Well, I'm thinking he's going like this underneath the floor. So he's going the wrong direction. So if we just want to test that, I can take our monster and I can move him to 10 on the position. I think. Camera's at 15.
Close.
Bottom line is he'll be up in the sky. All right. It's an aerial attack. Okay. No, this guy won. The right guy won. So he is going up, right? So it is, we just need to get him elevated a little bit. Oh, he's ticked off again, hasn't he? Okay. Unity has very weak constitution. That update probably fixes it, whatever the problem was. All right, so I gotta go back to my scenes, to my fight scene, click on Y, click on monster. Well, let's just see what that ends up looking like. Since we have a top down.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the shadow is a little sketch.
Yeah.
But I think we might just say it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see the shot.
All right, one more try. I want to see him go up and down. All right, we're gonna call that good. All right, so now they die the right way and they win the right way. And we want to get our music playing. I think right now I have our jukeboxes turned off, right? So we'll go ahead and turn our jukebox back on here. And we'll turn our jukebox back on here. I didn't turn that one off. Oh, thank you. I turned them off differently. I like to do that to stay randomly confusing. That's my modern day version of adding stuff to the slides last semester at random places, which upset him. Like, man, we just got 700 slides just strewn about. All right, so now we want to switch the sound that plays, right, when that happens. So we're gonna have to give ourselves access to the jukebox. Now we actually could do this a couple different ways. We can have two different jukeboxes, right? So we could have a jukebox that plays one of the sounds and a jukebox that plays the other sound, and we could just set active one of them and set inactive the other one. Huh? Well, I mean, I guess we could do three if you wanted to. So what I'll do here is in our fight scene, I'll go ahead and duplicate our jukebox. We'll have our winner jukebox. We'll have our fighting jukebox. All right, and our winner jukebox is going to play our victory music. So just for a moment, let's just make sure he plays the music that I want him to play. So we'll just. All right, perfect. So what we'll do is we will enable him. We will disable him. We're going to give ourselves access to those guys. So we're gonna do that inside of our referee. Yeah. So we'll go into our referee controller. We're gonna create a public game object fight box, public game object winner jukebox. We'll go ahead and drag those two things in here. So there's our referee. He's expecting two new things. So here's our fighting jukebox. Here's our winner jukebox. All right. And then what we'll go ahead and do is inside of our referee controller thing here. Well, we can send those two guys in here, which I guess is kind of what we've been doing, right? You know what? I'm gonna just do this. I'm gonna say public public void swap jukeboxes. And we're gonna go ahead and actually, why don't we do this? Public void play winner music. So what we'll do is we'll say this dot fight jukebox dot set active false. This dot winner jukebox dot set active true. So this is called play winner music. So that inside of my death match, for playing the victory music, we'll go ahead and say, what is it? This dot, what is it? Referee instance. And we need to remind ourselves that this guy is not a mono behavior. He is actually a referee controller. Referee controller dot that guy. So now he'll turn off the fighting music and turn on the winning music. Let's get back to my scenes. It's so exciting. What's up?
When it went up and down,
Oh, was he?
whenever it got to the bottom.
Oh, that might have been that sine wave thing with my yield in there. We might be stretching our threads a little bit. We're still gonna call it good. That'll be a it'll be a DLC release. $29.99. You want your guy to jump smoother? Deal. We could remove, actually, this will be kind of fun. Let's remove the yield.
Yes.
What's up?
How would you do it so if the music only plays on player rating and then you have like a sad song, whatever that plays?
Well, if you want to do that, then here, let me just test this real quick before it crashes.
It needs.
Oh, for I enumerate. Well, no. But this is inside of a, so we can move that outside of it. But before we were doing it inside. Because it ran, I mean, it ran out of threads. Yeah, it was.
Oh, when you try to make a friend, just play it.
You go down to 0, so.
All right, so you want to have it only on the winner, right? Well, you tell me, how will we accomplish that?
I was thinking like another if statement, can you feel like this? Say that. If.
Maybe try to make the
Uh,
type of it is player or.
You could tag it, right? And you say if you got, yeah, and if you would tag the game on the player, you could say if.
We know our player is dude one, right?
That's what I did.
You could tag it. Yeah, but we could go into our scenes, go to our fight scene. Well, we actually don't need to do it here. We'll do it programmatically. So before we just, let me patch that up here. Oh, I'm not in, no, this is the right place. Yeah, here. So we're gonna wrap this guy with if this dot winner, what I call, oh, this dot dude who's the current attacker. Current attacker, game object. If that guy is equivalent to this dot dude one game object, then we'll play our player music. You know,
Theoretically, I could.
else we could say play sad game over.
Go to the piano and so it's like, thank you.
All right, so this will do that now. Here, let me give you your homework assignment before I on that. So now we're going to finish the fight scene a little bit more. If the player wins, play the winning music for, let's do 5 seconds. And then go back to the cave and have the player finish the movement they were currently doing and continue walking through the cave. If the player loses, play sad music and show a game over screen. Make sense? I already gave you the if statement as a starting point. So the complication of this guy will be when I go and relaunch my dungeon movement scene, how do I have my guy pick up where he left off? Make sense? So you'll have to go back. There's going to be some logic there. You do it however you want. Figure it out. All right, so I'll put that up. I'll test this to make sure it's currently doing what it's supposed to be doing, but it should only play music if the player wins.
I think smart player, and then
You can decide.
you just want us to be in the next one.
You decide. What I want to be able to do is play my game. I want to be able to keep moving through the dungeon. If I went north and I ran into some monsters I win the fight, presumably I am now in the room that I was heading towards. So that's probably how I'll do it, is just have them maybe be in the middle of that new room.
Wait, so you don't need to. Even after it comes back to the room, you just want.
You can decide how you want to handle it. That's probably the way I would do it, though. I would probably say if I'm heading north and I got into a fight and I win that fight, when I come back to the dungeon, I'm already in the room to the north,
Oh, okay.
ready to make some new decisions.
Okay, that makes sense. Are you gonna be pushing that quote on?
Yeah, I'll push it right now.
Oh, yeah, it's.
No, I'm.